By 1461, England was tearing itself apart. The Wars of the Roses, a dynastic struggle between the House of York and the House of Lancaster, had plunged the kingdom into chaos. Both sides claimed the throne, both claimed legitimacy, and both were willing to drown the country in blood to seize power. The year is 1461. Lancaster versus York. The bloodiest battle in England's history begins. At the heart of the struggle stood King Henry VI of Lancaster, a weak and indecisive monarch plagued by bouts of mental illness. His queen, Margaret of Anjou, was the true driving force behind the Lancastrian cause. Determined to crush the Yorkists once and for all, she gathered an army of nearly 40,000 men. Opposing them was Edward, Duke of York, a bold 18-year-old commander with iron ambition. If he could win, he would claim the throne as King Edward IV. The two sides clashed on March 29th near the village of Tudden in Yorkshire. It was Palm Sunday and the skies opened with a vicious snowstorm. The wind howled across the battlefield, driving snow and sleet into the faces of the Lancastrians. To the Yorkists, the storm was an ally. To Lancaster, it was a blinding curse. The opening moves belonged to the archers. Lord Falkenberg, Edward's seasoned commander, ordered the Yorkist longbowmen to advance. With the wind at their backs, their arrows flew farther and struck harder, raining down on the Lancastrians. Blinded by snow and unable to judge the distance, the Lancastrian archers loosed their arrows too early. Most fell short, useless in the mud. The Yorkists simply stepped forward, picked them up, and sent them flying back. Humiliated and bleeding, the Lancastrians had only one choice: charge. Tens of thousands of men surged forward, crashing into the Yorkist lines. Swords, axes, and spears clashed in a brutal melee. The snow turned to mud, the mud turned to blood. For hours, neither side gave ground. Chroniclers wrote that the fighting was so desperate that men slipped on corpses and hacked at each other in blind fury. At first, it seemed Lancaster's superior numbers would prevail. The Yorkists bent but did not break. Edward himself fought in the front lines, rallying his men with sheer force of will. Every blow he struck reminded his soldiers they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a crown. Then came the turning point. Yorkist reinforcements, led by the Duke of Norfolk, arrived late in the day. Exhausted Lancastrians suddenly found themselves pressed on the flank. With fresh troops hammering into their side, their will collapsed. What followed was not a battle, it was a slaughter. The Lancastrian retreat turned into a rout. Yorkist cavalry pursued them mercilessly, cutting men down as they fled. The river Cockbeck, swollen with snowmelt, became a trap. Thousands of men drowned or were hacked to pieces as they tried to cross. Chroniclers claimed the waters ran red for days, swollen with bodies. By nightfall, the battlefield was a charnel house. An estimated 28,000 men lay dead, the bloodiest single day in English history. Tudden was not just a battle, it was a massacre. The Yorkists stood victorious. Edward of York claimed the crown as King Edward IV, while Henry VI and Margaret fled into exile. Lancaster's cause was shattered, though the Wars of the Roses would rage on for decades more. But Tudden was the battle that set the tone. It showed the sheer brutality of civil war, where no quarter was given and no mercy shown. Families were torn apart, villages emptied, and an entire generation scarred by slaughter. Yet the question remains, could Lancaster have won? Some historians argue that if the Lancastrians had waited for reinforcements instead of rushing into battle, their superior numbers might have overwhelmed Edward. Others suggest that if they had repositioned to avoid the snow and wind, the archers would not have been outmatched. And if Henry VI had been a stronger, more decisive king, perhaps his dynasty could have held England together. But leadership matters, and Edward had it. His courage on the field and the discipline of his commanders turned the tide. Towton proved that in civil war, numbers alone do not guarantee victory. The battle was over. England had chosen York, but it chose at the cost of tens of thousands of lives buried in snow, mud, and blood on a single Palm Sunday. Like and subscribe for more historical breakdowns.